I'm going to fire a ridiculous person who helped a woman who isn't worth a penny. I was late for a business meeting because I was helping a woman in a wheelchair at the airport. That's why I was fired from the company today. But I don't regret it. I'm sure if I had ignored her, I would have felt a nagging sense of guilt every day. As I was packing to leave the company, the manager, Bill, came running frantically. "Mr. Hayes, you need to see the news right now." President Hayes's face drained of color. Not knowing what was happening, I looked at TV and saw the woman in the wheelchair that I had helped. In the next moment, I understood everything. Yes, actually she was. My name is Tyler. I'm 28. I'm just an ordinary office worker at a care products company. I've been working for this company since I graduated, and recently, as the company's sales performance improved, my income has slightly increased. I was, of course, happy about the company's growth. However, I felt a bit uneasy about the way the company was doing business. This was because, under the direction of Bill, who is my manager, we had started adopting a sales style that prioritized pushing products over considering the benefits for our customers. While we were creating reliable products, and this sales style did increase our transactions, I questioned the practice of selling products to people who didn't need them. I once confronted Bill about our current sales approach, but he wouldn't even listen. "Bill, shouldn't we change our sales approach a bit? We're increasing our transactions, so why change?" True, our transactions are up, but this approach might harm our reputation with customers in the long run. We shouldn't worry about our reputation. But I think there's no need to push unnecessary products. If customers are paying, it can't be unnecessary. If you're so concerned, what do you suggest? Maybe something that responds to the customer's needs. That sounds like an excuse from someone who can't do their job. Well, you haven't been doing well, have you? Your performance has always been terrible. Before the sales policy change, I was always among the top performers in the company. But since the change, I couldn't adapt, and my ability to close deals faltered. Because of that, my performance plummeted, always ranking at the bottom. Bill and Mr. Hayes hadn't complained about me before, but after my performance visibly dropped, they started to belittle me. Complaining even though you perform poorly is troublesome. Are you wasting time with pointless chatter again? Then Mr. Hayes came to check on the office work. Seeing him, Bill stood up respectfully. "Mr. Hayes, good to see you." "Good to see you." "Tyler, are you troubling Bill with your nonsensical talk again? Listen to this, he's saying our sales policy is wrong." "Wrong? Bill's strategy has been contributing to the company's growth and is, in fact, a success, isn't it?" "No, I just wanted to adopt a sales style that meets the customer's needs instead of forcibly selling them unnecessary products. If we keep worrying about the customer's needs, our performance will only go down. You don't need to worry about that." "But if you have time to make such comments, why don't you go out and make some sales? This is why people call you a failure." "I'm sorry. Bill, I know it's tough, but please make sure to take good care of your subordinates." "Yes, my apologies." After saying this, he left the office. Afterward, Bill blamed me for getting scolded by Hayes and burdened me with a lot of menial tasks. Since then, Bill has been assigning me menial tasks almost daily, leading to days filled with overtime work because I couldn't finish during regular hours. Rumors of my confrontation with him spread throughout the company, and the employees became afraid to voice their opinions to Bill or Mr. Hayes. Still, I don't think my ideas are wrong. Thinking I wouldn't bend my principles, I continued to work hard. As usual, I took the last train home, completely exhausted. The one who always warmly welcomed me home was my grandmother. My parents have been stationed overseas for work since I was young, so I lived with my grandmother, who has difficulty walking, to help her and assist with her medical appointments. Taking care of my grandmother while working is not easy, but as someone who has always been a grandma's boy, I've never felt it to be a burden. Welcome home, Tyler. You must be tired from today. Hi, Grandma. You've been coming home quite late recently, and you look unusually tired. Work has been busy lately. I'm okay. Are you sure? You're not worrying about something, are you? She has always been kind to everyone and sharp at noticing even the slightest changes. I thought I was acting cheerful around her, but it seems she saw right through me. I confided in her about my work troubles and conflicts with my supervisor. So that's what's been happening. Yeah, I wonder if I have no choice but to follow the supervisor's approach to secure contracts. How have you been conducting your sales recently? I've been listening to the customers and recommending only what they need. It seems to make them more satisfied. I even tried the sales style Bill suggested once, but it didn't suit me. Then I think you should do what you want to do. But that won't improve my performance, and I might end up getting fired. But I don't think it's right to lie in your sales. Grandma, do you think what I'm doing is right? I don't know much about sales, so I can't say who's right, you or Bill, but I think it's right for you to stick to your principles. Grandma. Hearing her words made me feel validated, and I found myself tearing up. She always told me to be someone who can act for the sake of others. Those words have stayed with me, influencing my attitude towards work. She has always lived by those words herself, having a kind nature that doesn't allow her to ignore someone in trouble. Thanks to her personality, she's well liked by our neighbors and is a well-known figure in our community. I deeply respect my grandmother for all that she is. Even in my current company, there were times I almost compromised my beliefs, but I kept acting on my own terms, believing in her words. But it makes me happy. What makes you happy? That you've been holding on to what I said all those years, even now as an adult. Well, when you were told so many times to act for the sake of others, you start to think you should. But acting for the sake of others can be quite difficult, actually. Is that so? Think about the people around you. Being told that, the first thing that came to my mind was my company's superiors. Indeed, they seem to prioritize profit over acting for the sake of others. Maybe that's true. It becomes even more difficult as you grow older. In that sense, Tyler, you're doing great. I'm proud of my grandson. That's an exaggeration. No need to be so modest. Look, you have work early tomorrow, right? You should go to bed now. Yeah, I understand. Good night. I finished preparing for bed and lay down immediately. Normally, my mind would be filled with anxieties, making it hard to fall asleep, but tonight, I fell asleep quickly. Talking to my grandmother must have eased my mind. It was the first night in a long time that I felt motivated to do my best at work again from tomorrow. Even after that, I continued working while sticking to my principles. Of course, my performance didn't improve, and I was always being picked on by Bill and Mr. Hayes. Overtime became a daily occurrence, and I would return home late every night. You're always slow at work, and your performance is at the bottom. You're really a burden. I'm sorry. I wish you could bring in a big deal for once. A big deal? Well, it's probably impossible for you, but anyway, I need this task done by today. By today, but there's only 30 minutes left until the end of the workday, and I still have other tasks pending. You can't even do that. Other employees manage more work within the time. Understood. I'll take it on. Days like this continued, and sometimes I missed the last train and had to stay overnight at the office to work. Yet, remembering my grandmother's words, I never bent my principles. One day, when I visited a regular client, something unexpected happened. I'm really grateful for everything you've done for us, Tyler. No, I should be the one thanking you. I truly appreciate it. The fact that we can have such pleasant transactions is thanks to you always listening sincerely and explaining the products carefully. That's too kind. I'm just doing what I believe is right. I was wondering if I could entrust this to you, Tyler. Huh? There's a certain company looking for a new trading partner. I thought, how about Tyler's company? Really? Which company would that be? It's Johnson Corporation. Johnson Corporation, that's a major company, isn't it? Are you sure I'm the right person for this? Yes, I'd like to ask you specifically. They value not just the product quality but also the character of their partners. So I can trust you with this. Our company does take pride in our product quality. I'm honored that you think so highly of me. So, will you take it on? Yes, please count on me. Through the client, I managed to get in touch with a major corporation. A few days later, I received a call from Johnson Corporation. And unbelievably, a deal worth $100 million was decided, with me in charge. When Bill learned that I had secured a deal with Johnson Corporation, he was quite shocked. You secured a deal with Johnson Corporation? Yes, it seems to be a significant deal. This isn't some kind of mistake, is it? No, it's not. This is a matter of the company's future. Yes, that's why I was hoping Bill could join the negotiation as well. Of course, I'll join. I'm even thinking of replacing you with a more capable employee for this. Before I knew it, Mr. Hayes had stormed into the office, probably having caught wind of the situation. Everyone in the office turned their attention to us, wondering what was happening. Is it true that we've secured a deal with Johnson Corporation? It seems Tyler was the one who managed it. You did? How? It was through a connection with a regular contact we have. This is crucial for the future of our company. Would it be all right to replace Tyler with another employee for this negotiation? No, that's not working. It's his connection after all, and more importantly, the other party has specifically requested Tyler. They requested me. Yes, so make sure you don't embarrass us. Also, I'll be joining the negotiation as well. You will be joining too. Of course, the fate of our company is at stake here. Bill, make sure you accompany us properly. Understood. And so, I, along with Bill and Mr. Hayes, began to prepare thoroughly for the negotiation. We meticulously planned the negotiation content and presentation, and I was made to practice the presentation over and over. For a while, the company's focus was mainly on preparing for this negotiation. Despite receiving numerous criticisms, I accepted them all and continued to practice repeatedly. This way, I was able to prepare thoroughly and be in the best possible shape for the negotiation. On the day of the negotiation, I was reviewing the presentation materials until the last minute. Noticing this, my grandmother spoke to me. Today's the day of that big negotiation, isn't it? Yeah. The company we're negotiating with is located far away, so I have to take a plane, and I'll be staying there tonight. You're always so busy, but do your best today. Yay, I'll definitely make the negotiation a success. Don't push yourself too much, just do as you always do, and I believe you'll succeed. Thank you, Grandma. Although I had been very tense, this exchange with her helped ease some of that tension. I left the house, reassuring myself that I would be okay. Today, we were supposed to meet directly at the negotiation. So, I headed to the airport to catch my flight. Since I had arrived at the airport a bit early to allow for some extra time, I decided to walk around the airport to clear my head. That's when I noticed a woman in a wheelchair looking distressed and seeking help. The airport was crowded, and the staff seemed too busy with their duties to notice her. Looking at the clock, I realized it was almost time to go through security, but I couldn't ignore the woman in need. I might miss my flight if I don't go through security now, but how can I ignore someone in trouble right in front of me? Hesitating, I remembered my grandmother's words. Be someone who can act for the sake of others. Ignoring my principles was something I just couldn't do, not when I respected my grandmother's words so much. I hurried over to the woman. Excuse me, is there something wrong? It's just that my wheelchair suddenly stopped moving, and I need to catch my next flight quickly. It stopped moving. She seemed to be in a hurry. Fortunately, having a grandmother who uses a wheelchair, I had a fair amount of knowledge about them. I quickly found what seemed to be the problem and started fixing it with practiced hands. Do you think it can be fixed? Most likely, it should be fine. You seem experienced. Do you work in caregiving? Well, I do something related, but I'm also used to handling wheelchairs because my grandmother uses one. That's very reassuring to hear. After a bit of effort, I managed to fix the wheelchair successfully. The wheelchair started moving again, and noticing the woman's urgency, I explained her situation to a staff member who happened to be free and asked them to accompany her to her flight. Thank you so much for everything. It's nothing, really. When I checked the time, the plane I was supposed to board had already taken off. I hurriedly said goodbye to the woman and rushed to change my reservation to the next available flight. As I was about to leave, I heard the woman calling out to me from behind. Please wait. My name is Haley Harris. May I have your name? I'm Tyler. Here, take my business card if you'd like. Well then, I must go. Thank you very much. I handed Haley my business card from my suit pocket. And then I quickly left the scene and completed the necessary procedures. In the midst of the chaos, I also informed Bill over the phone that I had missed my flight and would be taking the next one. Despite the rush, I managed to catch the next flight and boarded the plane. After landing, I headed to the company using the shortest route but ended up being 5 minutes late. Bill and Mr. Hayes were already there, waiting for me, visibly furious for making them wait. How dare you be late on such an important day for our negotiation? I'm terribly sorry. You've just tanked our credibility with the client. How do you plan to take responsibility for this? By the way, why were you late? Well, actually, I explained the incident at the airport to them. I thought they would understand if I explained, but it seems that was just my wishful thinking. As soon as I finished explaining, Bill started berating me loudly. A woman in a wheelchair is worthless compared to a deal with Johnson Corporation. Can't you see that? But I couldn't just ignore her. You should have. Ignoring someone is something even a kindergartner can do. Why couldn't you? Enough, Bill. There's no point in talking to such a useless person. But he's caused such a mess. I'd love to fire you right this instant, but since the client specifically requested you, you'll have to pack your things after the negotiation. Does that mean? Yes, you are fired, but you'll still attend the negotiation. After that, you are of no use to us. Bill and I will lead the discussion, so don't bother doing anything. But I've practiced so much. Please let me try. Don't you get it? Someone who prioritizes worthless trash over their job doesn't need to do anything. You're just in the way. At a loss for words, I couldn't respond to their harsh criticism. While we were arguing, a staff member from Johnson Corporation appeared and led us to the president's office. We were told to wait a bit for President Johnson to arrive, so we sat on the sofa in the office, enveloped in an awkward silence. Bill and Mr. Hayes continued to grumble about me in hushed tones. Reaching my limit, I stood up to leave. Then, a familiar figure appeared on the TV in the president's office. It was Haley, the woman I had helped at the airport. Haley seemed to be giving an interview on the news. Look, Bill, the woman in the wheelchair is on the TV. Oh, she's pretty. It's a pity she has a disability. Even as their conversation reached my ears, I was shocked to see Haley on TV, realizing she was someone significant. Haley is on TV. Why? To my astonishment, Haley started talking about the incident at the airport with a smile on her face. Actually, on my way to the studio, my wheelchair broke down at the airport and I almost missed my flight. But then, a salesperson from Hayes Company fixed my wheelchair and escorted me to the gate. We also value personality in our employees, and I hope they can be inspired by him. Of course, we're proud of our excellent staff. Hearing her interview, Bill and Hayes exchanged looks. Hayes, about that interview just now. No way, that can't be it. Then, President Johnson finally appeared in the office. Sorry for the delay. Not at all, it's totally fine. We apologize for taking up your time. We're really sorry for our subordinates' behavior. It's okay. By the way, you saw my daughter on the news just now, right? The salesperson she was talking about was you, wasn't it? It seems so. Seems so. You are quite humble. You are truly a wonderful person. Let me thank you on behalf of my daughter. Thank you very much. No, I just did what anyone would do. That's right. Well, since Mr. Johnson has said so, let's just let bygones be bygones regarding Tyler's tardiness this time. But earlier, you said I was fired. Be grateful that kind Mr. Hayes is forgiving you. They cut me off as if to silence my words. The two of them pressured me as if to say not to speak any more unnecessary words. Thank you for your generous understanding, Mr. Johnson. Shall we proceed to the negotiation? But as we were about to start the presentation, he stopped us. No need for that. Does that mean? They, seeing his positive reaction to me, were perhaps hoping that he would accept the deal. They smiled with joy. Does this mean the deal is set? You truly have an eye for quality, to recognize our value without even needing a presentation. Yes, it seems his reputation is well deserved. Then, let's sign the contract right away. As Mr. Hayes was about to pass the documents, Mr. Johnson made an unexpected statement. Sign. I never said anything about making a deal. They were puzzled. Why not? Doesn't no need to talk mean you'll make a deal with us? What do you mean by that? Well, the reason is clear. I can't make a deal with people who insult my daughter. My daughter? We never said anything of the sort, right, Bill? It must be some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. You were speaking ill of my daughter on TV. On TV? No way. Yes, that no way. Just then, a familiar female voice was heard as the door opened. There sat Haley in her wheelchair. They turned pale, realizing who she was. We had no idea she was your daughter. Please forgive our rudeness. We deeply apologize. If it wasn't my daughter, would you say people in wheelchairs are worthless? I can't work with people harboring such vile thoughts. Please leave. This can't be happening. President Johnson had them leave. As I was about to follow them out, he called out to me. Wait, your name was Tyler, right? Yes. Weren't you just told by Mr. Hayes that you were fired after this negotiation? Yes, I was told I'd be fired after this, as I'd no longer be needed. How do you know about that? Our company places a great emphasis on character, so during negotiations, my father always monitors the attitude of our business partners closely. Even a slight misstep, and he's willing to call off a deal. He's that strict. So, you've been monitoring us since we arrived at the company. If that made you uncomfortable, I apologize, but I believe that while profit is important, what's most essential is the ability to empathize and act considerately towards others. His words reminded me of my grandmother's teachings. I had always been dissatisfied with the management philosophy of my former company, but I deeply respected his viewpoint. So, having observed your actions, I think you're a perfect fit for our company. How about it, if you're okay with it? We'd love to have you join our team. Me, really? I also agree with bringing Tyler into our company. Would you consider it positively? If you think I'm suitable, I'd like to contribute to your company immediately. Please, count on me. Thus, I left Hayes' company and transitioned to Johnson Corporation. When I shared this news with my grandmother, she was overjoyed as if it were her own achievement. It's good to see that your efforts have been recognized, Tyler. That's an exaggeration. What are you saying? Your parents overseas are thrilled. Moving to such a prestigious company is amazing. Grandma, did you go ahead and tell them? It's not a bad thing, right? In fact, I even boasted about it to our neighbors. Grandma, that's embarrassing. Tyler, acting for the benefit of others is a good thing, isn't it? Yay, if Grandma hadn't taught me that, I might not have found such a great company. Thank you. I didn't do anything. You achieved this on your own, so be more confident in yourself. All right. Thus, even after joining Johnson Corporation with a recommendation from Mr. Johnson himself, I never became arrogant but continued to work in my own way. As a result, my efforts were recognized, and I quickly climbed the career ladder. Meanwhile, Hayes Company's reputation declined due to the incident. Furthermore, it seems that by not adopting a more customer-centric approach, we failed to secure additional purchases, leading to a decline in performance and bringing the company to the brink of bankruptcy. Later, I reunited with Haley at the company and even went out to dinner with her. By then, Haley's health had improved to the point where she could walk without a wheelchair. The dinner was nerve-wracking, but her bright and kind nature felt like a saving grace to me. This restaurant's food is delicious, isn't it? Jess, thank you for inviting me. Let's drop the formalities. Are we the same age? Don't tell me you don't remember me. Wait, you're Johnson's daughter, right? Not that. We were classmates in elementary school. Could it be Haley Johnson? But your name now is Haley Harris. Back in elementary school, being known as the daughter of Johnson Corporation's president brought me nothing but trouble. I was even nearly kidnapped several times, so I started using my mother's surname from middle school. I remember now, you always seemed to have a hard time back in elementary school. But you were always there to help me, Tyler. It meant a lot to me. I couldn't stand by and watch someone who hadn't done anything wrong suffer like that. You've always been a good person. Not really. Plus, I couldn't ignore a pretty girl. Are you saying I'm cute? Well, yeah. Actually, I've been interested in you since elementary school, Tyler. Really? I had no idea. Of course, after being saved by you so many times, I always wanted to repay you. Now that we've reunited, I'm truly happy. I'm glad we met again too. I've been thinking about you. Really? Yeah, so if it's all right with you, would you be my girlfriend? Of course, I'd be delighted. And that's how we started dating. Our relationship progressed smoothly, and when we went to greet Mr. Johnson again to discuss marriage, he was overjoyed and accepted us warmly. Later on, Haley and I got married and were blessed with 2 healthy children. As a prospective future president, I work hard every day, and now, blessed with a family, I lead a happy life. Show me where that incompetent loser works. The one who soured my excitement for the long-awaited reunion was Mary. She's always been mean to me, trying to get the upper hand like this. The reason is that I wasn't very good at studying during our school days. I was irritated by her holding on to that, even at 40, but at the same time, I was impressed she could remember such things. It seems Mary, who thinks I'm incompetent because I wasn't good at studying, wants to see where I work. So, after the reunion, I decided to take her to her husband's company's CEO office. She doesn't know I'm the CEO of a major company with 7,500 employees and laughs at me for not teasing her. However, when her husband came out from inside the office and explained the situation, she turned pale. And then, she regretted her past actions. My name is Robert. I'm turning 40 this year. I run a company with 7,500 employees and have recently managed to take some time off. When the company was new, I was too busy to even think about leisure, let alone attend reunions. But I've RSVP'd to the upcoming reunion. This reunion will be attended by classmates from our senior year of high school. As I looked through the yearbook to see who would be there, among all the familiar faces, there was one that made me feel a sense of aversion. That person was Mary, who used to lead our class. She was a kind of leader in our class, always in charge of organizing class events and was part of the so-called popular group. Looking at Mary's photo, I couldn't help but remember the past. I think it was sometime in our senior year. Unfortunately, I ended up surrounded by girls after a seat change. For someone like me, who enjoyed whispering with friends during class, it wasn't exactly the best environment. Then, an incident happened. That day, my close friend was absent, and I was eating lunch alone. Surrounded by groups of girls at the surrounding desks, I felt slightly uncomfortable as I popped a side dish into my mouth. Hearing the beautiful chirping of birds from outside, I instinctively wanted to see the view and looked up towards the window. At that moment, I made eye contact with a girl nearby. That girl was Mary. "Hey, what are you looking at? You were just staring at my chest, weren't you?" I was just trying to look outside." "What? Are you saying I misunderstood?" "No, it's not like that, but..." For some reason, she was convinced I was looking at her chest and kept accusing me throughout lunch break. Moreover, her voice carried across the classroom, turning the suspicion into a source of cold stares from classmates. No matter how much I tried to explain, Mary seemed determined to paint me as a bad guy. Eventually, the classmates' misunderstanding was cleared, but that was the start of the harassment from Mary and her friends. "There you go looking my way again. It's creepy, so stop it." "I told you, I'm not looking at you." "Sure you're not." Accusations like these were frequent, and sometimes they'd even hide my textbooks. My classmates and friends always came to my rescue, but Mary never stopped her harassment. In fact, her anger only grew when she saw I had support, escalating her behavior. For example, she'd write fake love letters to call me out, only to ridicule my earnest waiting, or she'd give me a different meetup location for a class party. Luckily, I was supposed to go to the party with a friend, so I managed to get to the right location. Mary didn't stop her harassment until we graduated. I have completely forgotten about her after graduation, but it seems she'll also be attending this reunion. Despite a slight sense of dread, I was looking forward to seeing my old classmates after such a long time. 1 month after receiving the invitation, the day of the reunion finally arrived. Having finished important work the day before, I was ready to fully enjoy the reunion today. With a mix of nervousness and excitement, I headed to the venue for the reunion. This time, it seems there are many attendees, so a slightly more upscale venue was chosen. The plan was to use a luxury hotel as the venue, with a participation fee of $100 per person, which is a bit on the higher side. But at 40, most people can afford that amount without much trouble. I took the elevator to the designated floor and checked a guideboard. Upon arriving, I handed an envelope containing the participation fee to a classmate at the reception and entered the venue, where several people had already arrived. Looking around, I immediately spotted Mary. Wanting to avoid her as much as possible, I tried to move to the edge of the room, but unfortunately, I seemed to have caught her eye. Noticing me, Mary happily hurried over. "I never thought you'd attend the reunion. Did you actually pay the fee?" "It's been a while. I just handed it over at the reception." "Really? You probably had someone else pay for you." "I paid with my own wallet, actually." Right from the start, Mary was throwing snide remarks my way. I thought she might have matured at 40, but she's just the same as she was in school. My faint hope that we might get along now was dashed, and with a slightly slumped shoulder, I decided to go get a drink. I headed for the drinks to shake off Mary, but somehow, she followed me. She then started asking various things, like what job I'm doing now and how much money I have. "Hey, where do you work now?" "Well, you can't say, can you? My husband, you see, works at a major corporation and is incredibly handsome." Stumbling over my words, Mary took it as a sign that I worked somewhere unmentionable and began boasting about her husband. They met at a mixer and got married quickly. She can live on her husband's salary alone, so Mary became a homemaker. And now, they're blessed with 2 children and living a comfortable life. Well, I'm not like you, a poor person. Poor person? Yeah, you were never good at studying back in school. That was decades ago, wasn't it? It seems Mary still remembers my struggle with studies and teases me about it. While I'm irritated that she's still hung up on it even at 40, I can't help but admire her memory for such things. Mary, who has always been called pretty, had grades similar to mine, yet her self-esteem is quite high. It would be fine if it was just high self-esteem, but it's troubling because she tries to put others down to lift herself up. The classmates seemed to hear Mary's voice, visibly frowning, but she didn't care and kept bad-mouthing me. As the reunion went on, I enjoyed catching up with old friends, but towards the end, Mary cornered me again. "Show me where that incompetent poor person works." "My workplace." "Yeah, you must be free after this, right? Take me there." She seems to still want to look down on me. I hesitated a bit, but it would be annoying to leave her with the wrong impression, so I decided to take her to my workplace. "All right, meet me in front of the hotel after the reunion is over." "I'm looking forward to it. You're probably working in some rundown building, right?" Later, Mary and I met in front of the hotel and took a taxi to my workplace. My office is in a prime location in downtown. As the taxi got closer to downtown, Mary began to get restless. When I got out of the taxi in front of a certain building, she started looking around nervously. "Where's your workplace?" "Right here. This building in front of us." "This building is your workplace. Oh, I get it. You must be working as a cleaner or security guard here, right?" Seeing the sizable building, Mary, perhaps flustered, started talking under the assumption that I was dispatched there rather than working there. "But I am the CEO who manages this entire building, and I need her to know that." I interrupted Mary's speech to tell her the truth. "You might want to deny it, but I'm the CEO of the company in this building." "Well, what? CEO? I could believe you're an employee, but CEO is stretching it too far." "Is it? I started this company from scratch about 10 years ago and became the CEO." "Don't lie. There's no way you could be a CEO. Show me some proof." When Mary demanded proof that I was the company's CEO, I pulled out my business card holder from my pocket. I carefully extracted a business card and presented it to her with both hands. Mary took the business card from me and scrutinized the text as if she could bore holes through it. "See, it clearly says CEO. Does this convince you?" "I won't believe it just because of this. Anyone can forge a business card." "Why are you so unwilling to accept that I'm the CEO?" "Because you were never stand out in high school, not smart, and someone like that being more successful than me. It seems she doesn't want to admit I'm the CEO because she can't bear the thought of me being more successful than her. I don't think being a CEO necessarily means I'm successful, but I do believe I'm happier than someone who is constantly concerned about social standing, pride, and status like her. Mary looked at the business card again and seemed to realize something. This company, come to think of it, it might have the same name as the company where my husband works. Turns out, the husband Mary had been bragging about works at my company. Still, it's thought she only has a vague memory of the name of the company her husband works for. What kind of conversations do they have regularly? Setting that aside, I decided to ask for more details. From the industry and company name she mentioned, and after hearing about the nature of the work, it was almost certain her husband worked at my company. So, my husband works under you. That's impossible. If that's true, it would be quite ironic. Ironic? What's so funny about it? The fact that you've been looking down on me all this time. My frustration built up over time made me say such things. Normally, I wouldn't speak ill of others or make snide remarks, but conversing with Mary disrupts my pace. Mary, provoked by my words, was trembling and clenching her fists. This might escalate into a shouting match. How should I defuse this situation? As I was pondering, someone came running out of the building. "Hey, isn't that Mary? What are you doing here?" The person who emerged from the building was Steve, Mary's husband. This confirmed that Mary's husband worked at my company. She awkwardly greeted Steve while looking uncomfortable. "Just passing by and thought I'd stop by." "Is that so? Wait, did I ever tell you where my workplace was?" "Well, you know, the address was on the business card." "Did I give you my business card? By the way, Mary, why are you with President Williams?" Steve seemed puzzled to see me with her and asked. But now that it was clear I was the CEO, she was visibly flustered. So I decided to explain everything on her behalf. "Actually, your wife is my classmate, and she wanted to see where I work." "You were classmates, but why your workplace?" "Hey, if you say any more, I won't forgive you. Your wife has been harassing me since high school, and today she wanted to see the workplace of the incompetent pool person." Hearing my words, Steve froze with a look of shock. He probably never imagined his wife would do such a thing to the CEO. Mary, realizing her misdeeds were exposed to her husband, started sweating profusely. It seems that she had not shown her true nature to Steve. She probably only showed a polished version of herself. Given that Mary was good at ingratiating herself with teachers and winning over peers since her student days, this comes as no surprise. Let me hear more about this in detail. No, what I just said was just a joke among classmates. Don't take it seriously, okay? It's no joke. Are you planning to harass me and then make excuses? Would you just shut up? It's so annoying, especially from someone as introverted as you. Faced with my persistent remarks, Mary finally raised her voice. She covered her mouth in shock, but it was already too late. Steve seems to have developed a distrust towards Mary. In high school, Mary had a few boyfriends whom she switched between, but eventually, her true nature was exposed, and they broke up with her. The same might happen this time. She seemed to realize this, looking at Steve with a frightened expression. Come to think of it, Mary mentioned she had become a housewife. If they were to talk about divorce now, it would surely lead to a massive confrontation. However, Steve did not immediately suggest divorce. But he seemed unable to forgive his wife for being rude to me, and said this. "Mary, I'm disappointed in you. I thought you were a good wife. I didn't do anything, it's true. Believe me, not this person. There's no way he would lie. Besides, actually, The kids have come to me with some concerns too. Concerns about what? It seems the kids have also noticed Mary's unpleasant character and have discussed it with their father, Steve. Considering the numerous troubles she has caused at the kids' school, they are under a lot of stress. From dominating conversations among mothers to demanding preferential treatment for her child from teachers, I couldn't help but nod as Steve told me these stories. I haven't seen Mary since our senior year of high school, but somehow, I can imagine. I had hoped you had become a better person, but it seems I was wrong. I don't have time to deal with you right now. Go away. Hey, how dare you speak to him like that? As an argument between Mary and Steve heated up, I decided to leave the scene. Staying any longer would only involve me further. I quietly slipped away, but Mary seemed not to notice at all. 3 days later, Steve came to me and updated me on the situation. Apparently, Mary loves the kids too much and unintentionally lashes out at others. And I learned that she used to be hostile towards me during our school days. Seeing me with many friends and a close family made her envious. I always thought of myself as an ordinary, unremarkable person, but it seems Mary saw me differently. Then, Steve began to express how grateful he was to me. Steve was struggling with job hunting and had no choice but to take on physically demanding work. At that time, it was me who approached Steve, who was looking downcast in the park. I suggested to him that if he was job hunting, why not work for us? Back then, we had just started the company, so we couldn't pay much, but now that the company has grown, I believe we're providing a salary that matches his abilities. I was grateful for the few employees willing to work with us in those early days, and it turns out Steve was grateful to me too. If you hadn't reached out to me back then, who knows where I'd be? I'm the one who should be thankful. You really helped me out by accepting my offer. When I told my wife about it, she stopped arguing. So, have you made up? When I asked this, Steve shook his head yes. I can forgive Mary for the harassment, but maybe she had her own issues and conflicts. It just so happened that I was the target of her harassment at the time. Mary still sulks at times, but she seems to have a keener expression than before. And then, for some reason, on Valentine's Day, Steve gave me chocolates. I was told Mary was the one who sent the chocolates, and I was quite surprised. Why would Mary give me chocolates? Maybe it's her way of apologizing. Please do accept them. An apology. Then I have no choice but to accept. With that, I took the chocolates that were offered. Unwrapping them, I found a letter of apology inside. Although I still dislike Mary when I attended the reunion, now I don't feel as angry. I thought it was strange to have my feelings changed by chocolates and a letter, but those two things seemed to reveal her true intentions. Mary must be a person who finds it hard to express herself honestly. As I ate the chocolates with my wife, I thought about this. Sometime after the reunion, I was back to my usual routine. It's a busy period, so I have to work overtime, but I make sure to spend time with my family. I believe the reason I'm able to stay healthy is that my wife lovingly prepares healthy meals for me. When I'm alone, I tend to eat instant noodles or fast food, but knowing that my wife is waiting at home with delicious food makes me want to work harder. Recently, she's even started making lunch boxes for me to take to work. Now that the children are a bit older, my wife seems to have more time on her hands. While enjoying my lunchbox full of love, I look over the materials. Soon, there will be a meeting about expanding overseas. Driven by the desire to make our company known worldwide, we are preparing for this international expansion. It might get busier, but that just means making more time. Even when busy, whether having dinner with my family or staying up late eating instant noodles, even when staring down documents in my computer, I feel happy. It's like I can really feel alive. Having a job to do and a family to care for is more than enough for me.